Hello, everybody. Super good morning to everyone. Kevin Chan here again. Today, 7:30 in the morning as usual. And we are going to be continuing talking about the individual component in the QiMen. And today it's going to be on the 10 stem, specifically the Ren Water stem. And we're going to take a look at how does Ren Water stem function in the QiMen world and what can you do with it when you are doing a reading, right? So super good morning to everyone. First, we got a pack pull around as usual. Then I can see Simon, Manuel, Jocelyn is around, Sabrina, PJ, Call Eve, right? So how are you guys all doing today? Hopefully everybody is doing fine, right? So yeah, we are going into the juncture of finishing. Still got a lot. Still got at least half of it to go. So we have done Jia, we have done Yi, we have done Bing, we have done Ting. Then the other day we just did QuiMen Water. So this one is okay, beginning of the halfway. Hello, Kahing, how are you doing? So we're going to be looking at Ren Water in one of the 10 stem. Let me shrink myself down first, or else, it will be blocking a lot of stuff. Right, so as usual, right, you want to get in touch with me, right? So is the Telegram will be a good place, right? So to get in touch with me, right? So especially if you have something that is requiring the service of QiMen to make some critical decision, you got a plan, you want to just figure out, verify whether the plan is good, no good, right? So you can go and get in touch with me, right? So or else there is this a newsletter, right? So your newsletter, you will be publishing a forecast related matter, right? So you want to read whether next month what are the good activity to perform, what are some of the things that you can execute, on a monthly basis, right? So this will be a good what we call a platform, right? So it also cover things like excursion, like today, I'm gonna go over to one of the local Chinese temple to take a look, right? So maybe there'll be something that I found out about the temple. Right, so or else next, I got a very cute community channel which is on Facebook. These are for those of you who are practicing, who require some support, from the group of practitioner as well, right? So go and join it. It's a Facebook group, right? So that's what you can do, right? Then what happened here is that this is called a QiMen chart, right? So if you need a QiMen chart, you can use Typing Astro. The free version will be sufficient, right? So you will get the exact same chart in the free version without the structure, right? The structure is a red and black color little wording, right? So we have not moved into talking about structure yet, right? So structure is nothing more than different components coming together. Like at this current juncture, we are still talking about individual components. So what are the individual components that's available? So in studying QiMen, there's 4 individual components there. One component is called the door. We have covered all the door already. So if you want to look at each of the door component, please go to the playlist, look for all the 8 doors. Then there is the star component, right? So yeah, we have also covered all the stars. We have done that, and also the deities component, we have done all the deities, and right now we are completing the stem component, which is the final component of the QiMen essential. These are the vocabulary of QiMen. I just put it, just think of this table as the ABCD of the QiMen world, because for you to construct usable meaning in QiMen, it is just about placing all this ABCD in their place, right? Finding out which day, which hour has the correct ABCD configuration. That's all I need, right? So QiMen, what we call practicing, is not really that difficult. It is very difficult in the olden day because you need to manually plot the chart, and this chart is not easy to plot because of the 4 separate components which move in their separate manner. You need to know how to actually do the plotting. So today, everything is basically done by software. It's pretty easy. Okay, right? So that's why practicing today is basically just need to understand the thing, right? So it's like learning language with the assistant of ChatGPT. Last time when you learn language, you need to learn spelling, you need to learn grammar, you need to learn comprehension. Right now with ChatGPT, right, none of those matter anymore. Got any spelling mistake, ChatGPT will fix it. Your grammatically doesn't look nice, ChatGPT will change it. Your phrasing, sentencing, isn't really correct in the place, ChatGPT will fix it. You just have to throw in the ideas and right, so it's almost similar already today when you are practicing QiMen. So that's why you need to learn, right? So today we're going to talk about the Ren Water. So like just now tell everybody, Jia Yi, Bing, Ting, and Kui has already been done, right? So for those of you who are looking at this, why is it sequenced in such a way? This is how QiMen sequence the step. If you are plotting QiMen, this is how you put it, right? You find out where is the Jia position, then you follow the sequence of plotting. then you put the rest in their place. Right, so this is the sequence. So it doesn't follow the generic BaZi sequencing. Right, so it's a bit different in the sequencing manner. Right, so now I've also told you the what we call the general remembering story for QiMen, right? So which is a story of an enemy coming to attack Jia, the emperor, right? So the short story of, you know, they're breaking the outskirts city wall, which is the Wu, then, you know, walk through the farmland, you know, which is Ji, then, you know, fight the local thugs, which is Geng, then, you know, gone through assassination, which is Xin, then is Ren is when they're faced with the population. Right, so now we are at the juncture of talking about the Ren, right? So, you know, let's go in and take a look. Right, so Ren a lot of time represent population, right? So, you know, now you can go know this guy is Nick Fury. So later, you know, when we have a longer discussion, you know why I picked Nick Fury, right? So again, if you guys don't know, this is one of the Marvel character. He is the head of the Shield, which is the Earth protecting department, right? Earth protecting department. This is a fully human. Doesn't have any superpower, right? Zero super. Marvel character, no superpower. No, it's among the, you know, no superpower thingy, but he controls the biggest Earth-bearing organization around, and, you know, a lot of time even the Avenger is basically under his you want to say under his control or under his scheming also can, right? So now back to the what we call the explanation. So we have done explaining the Ping, right? So now Ping represent army. That's all, right? So if you forget, you know, what does Ping represent? Ping represents somebody who has controls over the army. So Ping is the son of Jia. Jia wood produces fire. So, you know, you produces something, you know, is sun, right? So Jia is a male. Ping is a same polarity, so male to male. So Ping is the son of Jia, right? So Jia, because Jia is chicken shit, they like to hide. The idea, you guys know, Jia always hiding, running all over the places, hiding so that, you know, no one can attack him. So he has given the army controlling mechanism to the sun. Who else do you think he's going to give it to? No, of course, give it to the sun, correct? Right, so now the sun control army. So if somebody control army, it should be the most powerful, right? But here's the thing, you never use the army against your own people. So Ren Water is the counter element to Ping. Right, water counter fire, you guys know, right? So now it's like halfway trying to understand Chinese metaphysics, right? So, you know, if you have done the what we call the foundational basic part of understanding the elemental cycle, understanding everything, this would very easy make sense. And when I put a story on top of it, very easy to remember. So Ren represent the people, right? So Ren represent the people. So, you know, it's as in, you know, when people attack, then there's going to be one time whereby you're going to reach the city center or whatever it is, you know, where there is going to be a lot of people. So what do you think the people would do? Come together, gather together, and, you know, basically try to push back, right? So the people try to push back there, whatever, right? This is the normal gathering riot situation that you see, right? So where the police, you know, now police in Malaysia, basically, you know, they don't send police force, they send something called the FRU, Federal Reserve Unit. This is basically a military arm that is supposed to take care of again a local citizen matter, right? So it's a bit it's heavily armed police. That's basically it, right? So no, so when you see the FRU coming, you know, with the water gun, everything, right? So that's the scene of Ren Water. You can see the people coming over, you know, fighting on that's basically the Ren Water. So you are generally fighting public interest. It's a difficult fight, by the way. You know, if you don't have the resolve, this, which is where the problem is, you know, when you try to send military against your own people, very difficult to have the resolve to fight, because why? The own people are not enemy. You ask people to fight outward against the other enemy is very easy, but when it's inward, it's very, very difficult. All right, so because anybody you shoot could be one of your relative, you won't know a crowd of people, right? Right, the military come in, you know, they can't really use the, you know, gun on the, you know, their own people. You know, they can't blast their own people. Right, so outside very easy. You know, outside you point the gun out, you just blast. Those are all enemy. Right, so you don't need to. Although they are the exact same human as inside the city, but it's very different. Right, so, you know, it's basically that circumstance. right? So in the QiMen world, the Ren Water is called the heaven jail, right? So or you call the heaven prison, Tin Lo, right? So when you talk about prison, right? So you also need to understand who do you send into the prison, right? You don't send the royals into the prison. You don't send the nobles into the prison. If you want to send royals and nobles into the prison, you need to first strip their title first. You've seen before, right? So all this particular show, if you want to punish somebody, you need to first strip the title, because the titles of nobles, the titles of being royals, grant you natural immunity against this normal citizen punishment, right? So the rules and regulation, your laws and everything basically is there to keep the normal citizen in line. Even up until today, I say, oh no, laws is fair to everybody. You have definitely have never been to a court before, okay? Right? So if you have been to a court before, involved with enough court cases, you will start to understand that it's not about justice, right? So it's got nothing to do with that. You got money, you can basically drag the entire court proceeding until the other party go broke. Yeah. So what does it has to do with what we call justice and whatever it is, right? So this is what it is. So it is a mechanism. So prison is a mechanism to basically control commoners, and Ren Water is basically what we call commoners. Right, so does it mean that commoners doesn't have power? It has very strong power when it decide to gather together, but unfortunately, people usually are very scattered. They do not know how to come together. So again, I give people a lot of example that war would never happen if the frontliner all got brain. They don't need to shoot each other in war, right? But they listen to command of somebody who is a bit more brainless than them. Then this brainless zombie start to shoot the other brainless zombie. Right, just in the name of the control power, control this, right? So again, I tell people, you can have both sides, the tank go near to each other, park right in front and have a cup of tea. No one can do anything to you. Right, so this is basically the overall general package when you take a look at Ren Water, right? So the overall arching terminology one is basically engulfing. Right, so Ren energy is a very engulfing energy. So you just imagine submerging yourself into water. That sort of engulfing situation, right? So like it's different from QiWater. QiWater is heaven net ma. So QiWater is a feeling of being trapped. So it's like in the mist. It's like in the what we call heavy fog. You can still move around. You can't see clearly, right? So you don't know what is around, but you can still move around. But when it's Ren Water, it's like being packed jam in a riot, whereby you are just one of the little human into a lot of humans. So what happened when the pack goes somewhere, right? You have to follow the pack and go, right? So it's like people pushing each other. You can't have your own standing. There's no way, right? So if you're in those particular situations, so if you have participated in one of these events, right? So like a few years ago, we got the yellow minions gathering in Malaysia, right? So if you've been into one of these, you can see that in those situations there are no personal opinion, right? Ren Water can turn into a tsunami can, right? So the characteristic or the internal working mechanism of a Ren Water is basically generally is very rebellious. So when you see Ren Water in your reading, right, it's telling you that you are inside a situation whereby it is not exactly in control, right? So Ren Water is very, very difficult in control, right? So it also have a very insidious mean that really it really wants you to die. Right? Yes, the method that it used, the method that it deployed to get to the end point, to get to the result. So it's like really like tsunami, right? Tsunami give you face or not when tsunami come, right? So tsunami is just trying to dissipate its energy, right? So it's just trying to travel to dissipate its energy. So if you are not in between the path of tsunami, you are fine, right? So but when you are in the path of tsunami, when you are trying to what we call go against the tsunami, right? So what happened, right? Unless you are a bigger force than the tsunami, that's the only way to stop a tsunami, that you are a bigger force to a tsunami, right? So that's why when you are trying to go against the people. You need to break them into smaller pieces. And a lot of time, Ren Water is very realistic, right? So when you talk about Ren Water, you don't talk about things like vision. That's what Ping Fire do. Ping Fire, give you a lot of vision, give you a lot of dream. Is basically what we call leadership. Ren Water, the basis when we talk about realistic is that, when you got no food to eat, no food to eat. And by the way, people will only gather together. That's the only time whereby they are gathering together, and they go out of control is when they have no food. All right, you can go and check out every single revolution, right? So in history, right, it is triggered by no food. Right, so as long as the people got food to eat, right? So which means that they got a means of extending their life, right? So they got the food to eat, right? So everything, right? So they usually won't come together. A human is like that, right? So human is like that particular thing. So that's why you need certain things called leadership, right? Leadership is basically what plant ideas into the, sorry to say, brainless people's mind to tell them that now this is important, right? Why does people go to war? It's because somebody has planted the idea that the other people are taking your fire away. So it's that kind of mentality. So that's why you go to the front line and fight, right? So Ren Water, as usual, being water, is basically a very tactful person, right? So because if you want to control a group of people, you do need very strong processing power, because you are trying to influence. So it's like trying to control hive mind mentality. You need to have a very strong brain power to basically control hive mind mentality. So much like how a computer server is. Right? So now a lot of people many times say that I want to create apps, I want to create a software, I want to create this, I want to create that, and then put it on the internet, right? So their dream is very big, a lot of time they do this, but a lot of time they do not know what is the cost of doing that. To be a server 24/7 on, right? Server is a 24/7 on, right? So you know how much power that it consumes just to make sure that there are sufficient cooling, aircon, to make sure that the server doesn't overheat, right? Then the amount of hard disk space that is required for people to come in, right? So two person using it and versus 200,000 people using it is a very different mathematical calculation, right? So many people don't know, right? So your software, if it's popular, a lot of people using it, but your hardware cannot maintain the amount of people coming in, which means that your bandwidth is very low, right? So it won't work. Your software will just collapse, right? So but when you increase all the hardware and software, your money also increase. Everything is money. Hard disk space is money. The bandwidth is money, right? So all these kind of things is basically you need to pay for, right? So it's not easy to maintain, right? Same thing for you to control a group of people, right? Government server, at least in Malaysia, is the worst. They award it to the most cheapest Chikai company ever. Sad. Okay, sad. Okay, right. So it's basically that sort of situation. So just imagine you're trying to control a big group of people. So it's like for those who have an actual company, which means that you got stuff inside, then you should understand this. It's not easy to run a company with stuff, especially when you have a lot of stuff. You just imagine those conglomerate. Multinational company that has multiple branch in different whereby their staff force is like 20,000-30,000. Can you imagine how they control them? It's not easy, right? So give you 3, 5, 7 staff, you already got problem, right? Give you 3, 5, 7 staff, you give instruction, they don't know how to listen, they don't know how to contribute to the thing, right? They don't know how to sit there and take salary on it. Right, so it's like you are obligated to pay them, right? So and then they care no less of how does the revenue come in. By the way, these are the plight of actual business person. Actual business person, their main worry is cash flow. Do they have enough money to come in and pay for all this stuff that they are obligated to pay for, rental, electricity, right? So it's not like the business. If I got no sales, I got no expenses, right? Expenses will go out, salary will go out, I have to pay for the rental and everything, right? So it's all those this sort of costing a lot of people doesn't know. And when you are an employee, you definitely doesn't know. You only know like, oh, no, boss is not paying me correctly. You know? So I ask you now, are you bringing in the revenue in the correct manner? Right? Put you outside there, ask you to bring in revenue, right? You squat, you cannot bring in. And then, you sit there, talk about, oh, I want to share the, what we call profit. So that's what you want to share profit, you want work, you don't want to do. Right? So is the entire this, right? So why is it like prison? So a business person is basically in a prison. Right? You can't escape, right? So you can't escape the business is you. Right? So if you are an employee, it's different now, you can resign. As a business, it's not easy. Even if you say that, I just close down the business. You close down the business, you have to deal with all your creditor. Right? So, and also, whatever, again, whatever promises that you have made to your vendor, right? So you sign contract one. Right? You sign contract, you sign your, whatever, your lease agreement, all these things you have to, get it done, and also, the government will not let you shut down the business until the government is confirmed that all your taxes has been paid. Yeah, you can't just, you can't just turn off a business one, right? So that's why a lot of businesses, instead of applying to shut down the business, they just leave the business dormant. Every year, they just lodge in loss, as in no business. Right? So if you lodge in no business, the government cannot do anything to you, because a business can be in loss one. So that's why they don't close down the business, because when they apply to close down the business, the government do a lot of stupid stuff. Right? So they don't come and assist you to close down the business, they give you more problems. So what happens is that there's a lot of zombie company out there. Right? So company that basically is not going, is not doing anything. Right? So it's all this sort of stuff that you need to handle. So that's why it is all engulfing. It is like sitting in a jail. So when you are what we call facing with a reading that has a Ren Water, a lot of time is basically overbearing. Plenty of problem. And the difference between, again, Ren Water and QiWater. QiWater is feeling of having a problem. It's the fear of having a problem. So it's basically propaganda. Right? Propaganda is a bit fake. Like, this is real. Right? This is real, really got people in the street. It's not a propaganda. Or tomorrow they're going to have a what we call a gathering. No, it's the gathering is right in front of your door already. They are gathering already. Right? So there are 10,000 people in front of your door. And you need to handle. That is Ren Water. It's real, concrete problem. Right? So much like the what we call the Keng and the Sin. Right? So the Keng and the Sin, right? So the Keng and the Sin is basically, the Keng is actual external problem that's coming to you. Sin is internal problem that's created by you. So quality of it is very different. So same thing with this. So QiWater are potential fearful situation, whereas Ren Water is actual. So it's actual tsunami versus tsunami news. Right, so we've been having news of the big tsunami. They're going to wipe out the entire country for very long, right? Those are called QiWater, because until right now, still no country has been wiped out by tsunami, right? Correct or not? Right? So until one day the tsunami really came, right? So a big volcano, eruption, whatever it is, right? So that causes a big tsunami, and some, what we call unlucky country really get wiped out, right? So then that becomes Ren Water. Right? So when you see the tsunami wall coming, that is Ren. So definitely Ren Water is much more problematic when it comes to a reading. So when you have a reading, when you have a Ren Water there, you know that you are in a very overwhelming situation. Especially when your Ren Water is together with the grain. Heavenly grain is already a lot of stuff. Heavenly grain is basically many, right? So you got Ren Water, heavenly grain, plus you add it on to the 6 harmony, then you got power overwhelming. Right? Basically, those are a situation. It's like one of the superpower character exploding, because the fella, collected too much energy. Right? So you just imagine, those superpower, or it's either you generated too much energy, or you have collected too much energy, go boom. So it's a situation where the battery pack become fatter and fatter, anytime exploding. So that's Ren Water. So it's like, really like water gushing into the whatever situation you're in. So it's usually indicate a very dangerous situation that you're in. Right, so that's why I know a lot of time when you have a Ren Water situation, the advice is to do not go against the circumstance at this current moment. So it's better for you to stay non-involved, right? So which means that in achievement world, it's better to be host than to be the guest, right? So the guest you'll be facing with Ren Water. So no, it's like trying to go into a rally and speak against the will of the people who come into rally itself. Not a smart thing to do. Not a smart thing to do, right? So it's people, trying to disperse the rally through force. It rarely goes into a good situation, right? So it rarely goes into a good situation. But if you are the tactful leader that is basically carrying the rally, to do something, right? So then it's good lah, right? So you got the backing of the people, but you need to be very super manipulative to be able to have a role of somebody who can direct a Ren Water wrath against someone. You need to be a super tactful person. So that's why you need to be very smart. So if you are going against someone, right? So you have in a situation, then you see that this Ren Water is this sort of people that you are going against. So which means that the other fella is a person who, roughly speaking, don't really cares about a lot of things. Right? So he got an agenda that he want to get it done, right? So he will do whatever necessary, do whatever damage that is required, don't really care about repercussion. So if you are going against this sort of people, you really want to go against this sort of people, better just stand one side, let the fella destroy whatever they need to destroy, because it will lose momentum, so it will lose momentum. So after all the momentum has been lost already, then only you come in. Well, just always remember, as long as you don't die, right? Any battle also can be turned back, right? Can be turned around. Correct or not? Right? So that's why Chinese always said, as long as the green forest is around, you definitely got firewood. Don't be dumbass. So don't be dumbass. Sometimes a situation, whether should or should not go against it, there's indicator. So if you are going against a Ren Water, the advice a lot of times is tell you, just back off first. Let the accumulated energy disperse off first, then only you come in. Right? Don't try to go against the dispersed energy and say that, but then a lot of things will be destroyed. You need to have that particular mentality, is that they have to take care of themselves. Right? The world is not for you to rescue. I just tell you first. You can't rescue the world. All right. Right? So you cannot basically do world rescue. Okay. What happened here is that everybody have their role to play. If they are, for lack of wording, if they are destined to be perished in this, right? So it's time for them to go. Simple as that, right? So the graphic is basically what we call a carpet bomb. And so right now they don't do that. Right now using drone to suicide bomb is much more cheaper nowadays. So they can have drone forces to dive down to a target, right? So it's much more, yeah. So if Ping Ren be a person who can lead or organize a crowd, Ping Ren, the problem if you got the Ren and Ping together, it is a person who fight his own self. Is a person that fight his own self. Potentially can lead and organize a crowd. Potentially can, right? So, but the person is very difficult to go against himself, right? So Ren to distort the Ping depending on the rest of the reading, right? So if you got Ren and Ping together, means that two vision is not coming together. It's basically that. So one vision want to go there, but the direction of the other person want to go there. It's usually the result not really that good. Or or a lot of time when Ping Ren together, at least in BaZi, Ping Ren together is basically called magnification. The sun and the sea actually does not counter each other because they don't meet. But what does the sea does? It reflect the light of the sun back to the sun. So basically, if it's a crowd that is in anger, you put a Ping fire there, the crowd become more angry. If the crowd is in sadness, you put a Ping fire there, the crowd become more sad. right? So if the crowd is very gung-ho, you know, so the crowd become more gung-ho. So it's basically a magnification situation, right? So but it's very difficult for you to change. So which means if it's an angry crowd, you put a ping there, right? It will not become unangry, cannot. It's just a magnifying. It's just a magnifying. So basically, you know, it's gonna be the what we call the why does people like Adolf Hitler, why does people like Deng Xiaoping, you know, so this sort of character, right? So why do they thrive? Because at that particular moment, the people are very angry, desperate, and now you have a leader who come in who can magnify, and they become the concentration point of all this anger. So you need to be somebody who's willing to drive the anger. You can't calm the anger, and so which means that changing direction of the crowd is not like you go in and you change it, cannot. But you can direct them when you push momentum, right? So when they're angry, you give them something to angry about. Everybody rally together and they recognize you as the leader, right? So the you are like the magnifying glass, right? So you know, you focus all the angry energy, then after you focus all the angry energy, you can slowly change the angle of the magnifying glass. So this is where the rest of the people follow you, right? So this is where you get, you know, people like Deng Xiaoping, you know, who's able to, you know, control the entire nation. You know, you got your people like Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler is actually quite well loved by their people. It's the rest of the people is, you know, don't like it. Deng Xiaoping also is the same, right? So this is what we call occult leader. Occult leader, right? So this is the, you know, general situation, so which means that if you want to play around with the Ren Water element, you yourself have to be pretty strong, right? You yourself have to be pretty strong, and you have to be pretty determined, and you need to be able to embrace destruction. Yep, you'll be able to embrace destruction. Then, you know, this is a very forceful energy. So which means that if you're doing a reading, just right that, you know, you want to do a forceful act of, you know, a complete destruction, then if you read this energy, then it's a good time to do that. So again, right, a lot of time when you are doing a reading is that you need to match the activity with the energy. All right, it is not a question of, you know, whether this is good energy or bad energy. There's no such thing as good or bad energy. Right? Energy is just energy. Is the question, are you able to utilize it that propel you forward, or are you trying to go against it, you know, and get yourself into heaps amount of trouble? Depend on what you are doing. All right, so this is your Ren Water, right? So then we completed another one, right? So right now when you're doing reading, when you see Ren Water at that time, then you will start to have some idea of what the actual people that you're dealing with, right? So then with that information, then you make a decision whether your plan, if you throw into this circumstance, will it survive? That's actually what QiMen is trying to help you to determine. My plan, my action, the thing that I've decided that I want to do against current circumstance, against current energy signature, if I put it inside, what will happen? That is basically what we are trying to do, right? So in natal chart, having Ren Water in the month pillar, heavenly stem, and yang earth in the dragon, self penalty in earth branches is self-support or double self-destruction. There's no such thing as double self-destruction. Right. So this here, if you're reading the what we call BaZi, right? So now first of all, you know that, you know, you got Ren Chen, right? So you basically got Ren Chen, right? So then you need to take a look at what's the day master first, right? So different day master. If let's say that Ren Chen day master, if let's say that you're a Geng metal, right? So you're a Geng metal, right? So your Geng metal, the Ren is basically a what we call your wait, the other way around first. Let me see how I can get it. The let's say Ren Ping fire cannot. Ren Water cannot, right? We cannot find something that is useful. Sin metal, yes, okay, right. Let's say that you're a sin metal. So sin metal, the Ren Water become your hurting officer. So generally this hurting officer is bad, right? So but because there is a direct resource at the bottom that is controlling the herding officer. But this herding officer right now is basically a powerful ally of yours. For scene matter, right? So it's the same. It's the same countering element whereby the earth energy is countering the water. So right now the question is that does the water need to be controlled or not? If the water need to be controlled, then this formation is good. So if you're scene matter, then the water is being controlled, then it's good. If let's say you're G earth, this is direct wealth, whereas the bottom element is a rock wealth. So now it's rock wealth countering the direct wealth, then no good. All your effort go into waste. So you can see a G earth person looking at your Ren Chen versus a Sin Metal person looking at Ren Chen is completely two different story. Right? These two life is completely different. Alright, so one is basically being able to use his ability to capture the attention to show people the value. Another one is basically having opportunity but not being able to outcompete other people on the opportunity. Very different. Right? So like the demo, then if you are that particular situation whereby you got raw wealth and also that you better be careful of who you call friend. You better be careful of who you help. And so a lot of time, you help people doesn't mean that people will appreciate your help. Right? You need to learn how to the self-punishment part of it is where I'm going to tell you, right, you already know that this particular idiot is not going to be thankful to you, and he has already a lot of time sell you out. But you still got that stupid hope that oh no, he will turn around. I think no, the hell, give the fellow a kick, and forever delete him from your circle. Next time he drown, make sure you put a foot onto his head and make sure he stay down. Okay, right? So that's what you need to learn how to do, okay, right? So once you understand your BaZi chart, is to build a mechanism around your BaZi chart, right? So can give warm feeling to Ren. Thing can give warm feeling to Ren. The question is right, the question is thing can give guidance to Ren. That's it. It doesn't give a warm feeling to Ren, unfortunately. Right? So unfortunately that's the situation, right? So yeah, right? So thing can give a guidance to Ren. So it's like a you want to change it. The situation is that because Ren Water is something that is running under, a lot of people cannot see Ren Water. Right? So which means that Ren Water, although very brilliant, a lot of people actually cannot see the brilliance of Ren Water. But when there is a thing fire, then you can see the water. Right? So it's like a very dark place, you all know that water surface, under a dark thing, it just look like normal floor. It look like normal floor. Okay, right? So if you walk onto it, then you're dead. Right? So when there is a thing fire, then people can now see the water. So now people notice the brilliance of the Ren Water. So the thing fire is actually is a guidance point. Right? So if you want the rest of the people know that you are smart, you need Ren Water, need thing fire around. Thing fire is the one that bring out the essence or the things that you are doing to let people see, right? So then only people can follow you. Hey, you want people to follow you, people need to see you, that's the entire idea of a leader, is somebody who is walking in front and seen. If you're walking in front, no one see you, no point. They can't follow, right? Make handle life better has been leaving a mess. Don't call yourself leaving a mess. Okay, right, so this is your Ren Water for today. So take care of everybody, so see you guys again. Tomorrow and Tuesday won't be around, so I need to go and run another financial workshop for a bunch of aspiring corporate people. yes, we're gonna talk about investment again tomorrow. Right, so won't be around. Okay, right, so take care of you guys self, right? So have fun, right? So see you guys, bye.